My name is Peggy Aliano, and I was born in Brooklyn, New York, January 27th, 1936. My mother's name was Helen Christina McGillicuddy. She was born in Ireland. She's not just a mother, housewife. My father was John Francis Cody, and he was in the First World War. He was a war hero. He was awarded the Silver Medal from Queen Elizabeth. He was wounded 3 times. He was a very good person. He was forced into the British Army at 15 years old to save my grandma's farm. She had so many acres, and they burnt down all the houses all around my grandma. My father volunteered to go in the army, and it saved her home. He was the only son she had. I can remember my father teaching me to read the newspaper when I was about 2. And I picked up words easily. I could read fairly well. My brother couldn't for some reason. He just didn't like to read. I can remember my mother getting pretty sick. I can recall my aunt. I could recall talking about this and that. And I knew they took her somewhere. They took her away. I didn't see my mother well, I saw her. I visited her. But she was out of the hospital for 14 years. That's what I remember when I was little. My family life was, I was sort of the mother to my father and my brother. My mother wasn't there. My brother was very kind, very good. He was a comedian. My schooling was Catholic with the nuns, of course. I loved the nuns, and the tougher the nuns were, the nicer I liked them. We became the first guards, school guards, me and my girlfriend, in the history of the Catholic school that we were in. Of course, sometimes we got in trouble. We'd go swim in their vacation time. I have to go see the principal. But because I got good grades, I usually got away with that. That was Catholic school. We had a lot of fun. I did anyway. I missed it. We used to improvise. We'd make things out of wooden carts, cars, and things like that because we couldn't buy fancy things. But we had fun doing that. It was just, we'd play baseball in the street. My brother couldn't run, so he'd hit the ball and I'd run. Back then, Brooklyn was a different place. It was more, everybody got together. Everybody sort of cared about each other. You could go out in the summertime, little kids, 10 years old, walk around. There wasn't crime like there is today. We were never afraid of that. Our doors were open. When the Dodgers were on, every radio would be on. It was like more familiar, not as cold as California. Like you could live in an apartment for 20 years next to a person, you don't really know them. In New York and Brooklyn, you know everybody. Somebody's born, you celebrate it. Somebody dies, you bring in food. It's like they had like little cliques, Irish, Italian, Polish, whatever. But we all were together when it came right down to it. I miss that. That's very different out here. People are more colder. If you say hello to someone out here, they'll look at you. What do you want? It's different. It's just a different time, I guess. As for my upbringing, it was a little bit turbulent because when my mother was put in the hospital by my aunt, signed in, my aunt got guardianship of me. She did dislike my mother. She hated my mother. And I looked just like my mother. So, of course, she didn't like me too much. She must have had psychological problems because, I don't know. She was very cruel in her way of handling things. Say, for instance, I was afraid of the dark. She put me down the cellar in the dark. So I used to like to sing. So wherever she put me, I'd start singing. And that aggravated her, so made it take me upstairs. I really loved her. That was the weirdest thing. I loved my aunt, and she had a lot of problems. which I've forgiven her for. My upbringing. Okay, I stayed with my aunt through different things that happened. She was into witchcraft and Ouija boards. And for some reason, when I walked in the room, the Ouija board wouldn't go. It would stop. It wouldn't move for her. So she'd hit me for walking in the room. As a little child, I didn't understand, you know. Okay, when I was 12 years old, I heard my aunt and my cousins in the kitchen talking. And they talk about my father tried to commit suicide because he was despondent, because she wouldn't release my brother and me to him. And he didn't know if he could care for us, you know. So when I heard he tried to commit suicide, I got my brother's hand and walked out on my aunt. I told her, we're not coming back. She went around the whole neighborhood to sign a petition to put us in a home, Good Shepherd home, for wayward people. So she came to the house to tell my father, well, they're going in a home. So I asked my father, can I throw her out? Give me permission. He said, do whatever you want, whatever you think is right, do. So I didn't literally throw her out. I told her to go, don't come back in. Nobody in that whole neighborhood would sign her petition. They just chased her away. The neighborhood was so nice, they used to bring down dinners for us. You know, the lady upstairs would bring us Italian or this or that. So we were blessed as little kids. It was hard on me because overnight I had to become a mother, but all the discipline that I got from my aunt helped me to do that. I wasn't lazy. I didn't like to be lazy. I liked to be, doing things. And that's the story up to 12. My daughter Margaret's father was a very sweet man. Um, he was in a home like Angel Guardian home most of his life because there was some problems in his family with his father. So he had been put away, and his sister had been put away in another one. And I met him. He was just about a month out of that home. And I met him. And he used to follow me around like a little puppy. Every place I went, there he was. So finally I talked to him. And I was just a kid, and he was just a kid. So we actually didn't know from nothing, Then he tells me he wants to marry me. I was 16 years old. So I thought, why shouldn't I didn't realize what I actually was doing. So we get on a bus with his father. My father never knew his father, otherwise he would go to jail. So I pushed his father in the bus. We get married in Delaware. We come back. And then we were living with his mother, and I was working and just whatever. So then actually after, 16, 17, 2 years, I got pregnant with Woody. Then my father gave him this big lecture. He should go in the Army, because my father was Mr. Army. So he did. He went in the Army. And, yeah. And then Putty was just growing, and things were going good. But my father never cared for him, because he wasn't Irish. And he was real strict. He wanted me to leave him, leave him, leave him. So then I met Johnny through a friend. And he was a gangster. But I was so frustrated with all this going on stuff. I listened to a lot of things I shouldn't have listened to. And everybody told me, hey, he's crazy. He beats people up. I saw him once pull somebody out of a car and beat them up. But I thought, like I still think that, I can make him better. It ended up that I ended up with 2 children and a person that half killed me 3 times. The third time I almost was passed out from him choking me. But I forgave him. And so anyway, they made me water the court because I wouldn't testify against him. I just didn't believe in that. And he was living with this very wealthy woman. and she wanted to take my children away. She was going to take me to court and this and that. So I got afraid that maybe she would take Teresa and Johnny. So I just packed up my bag. I had $25, 2 shopping bags, and one train that took me to Chicago, and then the other one was the Santa Fe. It was really nice. Tony I had met through Gene, and he said, if you ever get troubles or anything, just tell me and I'll send you a ticket to come to California. So I came to California, changed their names from Sapienza, in case they could, and then they weren't as technical as they are today. It was easy to hide. So because of him, I just left everything, took my kids. So I just wanted them to grow up to be their own person, not a little gangster or anything else, just their own person and be happy. But it was very difficult along the way. Well, the first thing I noticed in California, nobody curses, and everybody's like, they were all clean. Well, in Brooklyn, people were clean, but they were rougher, So I was in this grocery store. This big fat lady was ahead of me, and she kept talking and talking. She had 2 little items, and I had kids and all this. And I said, well, can't you move your big, stupid, fat ass out of the way and shut up? Don't you ever shut up? What do you got? Did you get a medal for talking? And the lady turns around, oh, she's disgusting. Did you hear her accent? She's from New York. So my sister-in-law, Jean, was with me. She was nice. She goes, Peggy, you can't curse like that in California. People won't accept you. I said, so what? If they don't accept me, I don't accept them. Look at how they act. They're like snobs. But of course, I was just being sarcastic. They weren't all snobs.
Well, now, the way Teresa describes coming to California, it was like coming to live on the farm.
Yeah, we loved that farm. That was the farm that Adolf, Tony's brother, gave us to live because he owned it. And it had all kinds of trees, fruit trees, and I loved it. It had chickens and pheasants. I let all the pheasants loose because my sister-in-law had them in a little cage and they were nipping each other. So I came out at night, I opened the thing and let them fly away. So she goes, where's my pheasants? I didn't know they're expensive. I said, they're up in the tree where they should be free, But then we had chickens and we had, it was great for kids. It was a good life for kids. We had a dog that gave birth to 12 puppies. And they leave me with this dog. My sister-in-law goes out with her friends. And she goes, the dog was this fat. It looked like it was going to roll like a ball. And it started having puppies. I didn't know what to do. I was wrapping them all up, like you wrap up babies. 12 of them. So, oh my God, but they all lived. And many other things happened there. It was kind of an exciting place. I had good friends there. I had a little Indian girlfriend and a husband. Husband was kind of nuts. Had another little friend from the South, Sarah, and all her kids. Her husband came home one night. He used to always get drunk and set fire to the back house. And those kids, Sarah, me, and the kids stood there. He was inside, and the house was going up on fire. I used to babysit those kids. That was horrible. But the guy, he was really bad drinking. That was the story of that. So we wanted to make a big dinner, so I didn't have a lot of money. So Tony made me, well, I didn't do it, Tony did. He killed Henry the rooster. But he made me take all the feathers off. It was so disgusting. Because this is how you learn to be on a farm, like a pilgrim. You take the feathers, I said, oh my God, So I cooked the thing, but nobody would eat it. Except Sarah and her kids ate it. We couldn't eat Henry.
Let's talk about Jeannie.
Oh, he was that'll make me cry almost. He was a boy, which was weird, but he was so gentle, like a comedian. And I was supposed to be the girl that was, all that stuff. And I was the fighter. I was like my father. I inherited that. If something's wrong, you gotta be. And he instilled that in us. He'd say, you two are little soldiers to make us brave and all that. And me and my, whatever it was, naive, I thought I was really actually a soldier. And my brother was different from me. My father saved so hard. You know, he didn't make a lot of money, but he saved so I'd get a good education. And because of that, I did my best to get 90s, 98 averages. My brother, he just wasn't academically inclined, you know. Should have been a comedian because he was good at that. He'd go to school with big peg pants on, ducktail hairdo, and the gangs were after him. A whole gang of cars came down one time of Puerto Rican guys, and they were going to beat him up. So I told my brother was 6 foot by this time, but he was like a big baby. I told my brother, get under my bed, and I went out to talk to these guys. So I made up this big, fantastic story, and my brother was mentally retarded, and my father was an alcoholic that beat me all the time. And we were like orphans. Oh, I made up this. And the guy goes, the head of this gang, I forget his name, he goes, would you like to date me? And I was going, oh, God, never. But I had to humor him along, see. I said, sure, sometimes we'll date. I was thinking my father's going to hang this guy, you know. But it got Jeannie out of that trouble. And then when he got to be about, I think he was 16 and a half, my father signed him into the Army. He was a big, tall guy, that's where he learned everything. He learned to be in the military police. He used to tell me, I don't like when they wake me up early in the morning. I said, to become a master sergeant. So he did. And he went to school in the Army, and he was a bodyguard for Elvis Presley. When Elvis was in Germany, he was on the military police guarding this guy. What else can I say? Oh, Barbara Streisand. She used to live in this big complex near us, and she loved my brother. But my brother didn't love her, you know. But anyway, for years she sent him letters. He has letters from her. And it's weird because she ended up marrying an Irish guy. That guy that she's married to is Irish. She was all right. She was nice. She was kind of funny. Then Jeannie came home. When he came home from Korea, he was so skinny. Um, he had gone through a bit of trouble there. But that was all right. He came home. We were all happy to see him. He goes and signs up again. This time they sent him to Japan and then back to Kansas. No, this time they sent him to Germany, I'm sorry. And he met Barbara, his wife-to-be. She was beautiful, real tall and blonde, Norwegian girl. And they were supposed to get married, but he got orders to come back here. So she was coming on this way because her papa was dying in California. And I had a dream. I saw Barbara. I saw what she looked like and everything. And that they were going to get married. So she called me when she got to the airport before she went to California. And Jeannie had just left. It was so sad. I mean, she missed him like by an hour. He goes off to Kansas. He was a guard in the Leavenworth there, where the prisoners for the Army. And so I told Barbara, don't worry, you'll see each other again. Go see your father, stay with your mom for a while, and then go with Jeannie. So a couple of months went by, and I get a phone call, and it's my brother. And he says, well, we just got married. It makes me almost go, what? She came back to Kansas, married my brother, and she had her first son in Kansas, John. That was his dream, to become a police chief, but he had to start off little. So I kept praying for him that God would protect him because I know it's dangerous. That was the time when they had all these Black Panthers and crazy people killing cops. So anyway, that was his dream. So he sends me a letter and he says, Mark, I could get on the police force. I passed the test and all, but he needed $350 for the uniform. So Tony was pretty good, Tony said, I'll give it to him. We didn't have a lot of money. I think we had about $1,000 in the bank. And I sent him that money. And he called me up crying. He got his uniform. He looked so cute. Well, anyway, he went on. I won't say all the stuff. He went through a lot of stuff. The Black Panthers and all that. They blew up his friend in his police car, the Black Panthers, put dynamite under the car. Jeannie checked his car, he had dynamite under it. If he had gone in that car, he would have been gone, but God protect him. Anyway, he went on different things. He went to school, studied some more, became a sergeant. But he was the gentlest cop I ever saw. He brought, through his lifetime, before he died, he brought 100 children home to his house that were troubled children. And Barbara and him helped every one of those kids except for one. One girl, just something wrong. And when he passed away from cancer, he was chief. And that was something. I never seen a funeral. They had lines and lines of cop cars. I didn't even know all the stuff he had done for children. I didn't know all that. He had taught the young cops this and that because he had like New York smarts. You know, that's good. It helps you. And that was the story of my brother. He was, to me, a hero. Raising those kids was hard. They all were different personalities. Putty was like the little lady of Alicia. Teresa was hell on wheels. Oh my God. I thought I was going to die from having that child. She'd go up in the trees and hang off the tree because she was like a little gymnastic, very strong when she was a kid. And she'd scream, Mom, Mom, I'm stuck. And I'd look up, oh my God. And then as she'd get a little scrape, she'd pick it so it would bleed, drip down her arm so I'd freak out. She was really something else. She got Johnny and drove a nail through his tongue. Something was hanging off his tongue in the nail. And he comes in the house. Mom, there's a tongue. My tongue. Teresa did that. Johnny was mellow. Johnny was kind of the best one. He was good. Quiet. And let's see what lots of things happened. There was a Nazi living next door, an old man, blind. And I used to see him just come out to the door, and he didn't go any further. And the kids would be running, and the dogs and all this. And I went to the fence to ask him if he's all right. I didn't know he was a Nazi. He said, yes, yes, little girl. He used to call me little girl. Yes, little girl, but I'm blind, I can't see. So I asked him, you want me to come over there and help you out the door so you could sit in the sunshine? So I did. So then that night, over comes this young guy, Charles. He was his nephew. Charles was very handsome. Charles was always following me around. He told me he had gold bricks under his bed. Where would you get gold bricks from? He probably stole them from the poor Jewish people, you know? Who knows? And my kids, they started giving them, like, for their birthdays, they give them big silver dollars for their birthdays. And they took us all over the place. Tijuana, Grand Canyon, where they have those big redwood trees. Wherever they are, we went there. He was very kind to my kids. He liked Johnny. He seemed to be like a bachelor. He was very religious. He was always following me around. Then he'd ask me, what kind of car? Should I get a new car? Should I get a Mercedes? I said, yeah, of course, get a car. And we were really good friends. But then Tony, not so much Tony. Tony and him were good friends. But parts of his family were saying, oh, Charles is in love with your wife. You better watch out and all this. So I had to tell poor Charles, which was a good person, very decent person, to go away because they're saying all this stuff, you know, and it wasn't right. So he did. He went away. That was the story of Stagg Street. Well, Teresa was very naive. She was sort of like I was when I was young. And I don't think she even knew what she was doing. People would tell her stories, oh, you don't get pregnant, you won't get... She didn't even know what pregnant meant. But then when she got pregnant, she told me I didn't believe her. I thought she was imagining things. But then Vincent was born. He was so adorable. He was a really beautiful child. And then she started to She was a little bit wild. I think because she didn't have that time to be teenager. You know, she went right into having a little child. And when she met Anita and her were like, watch out. Anita was a good person, but wild, really pushing the limits. And Anita's mother was, she's the sweetest lady you ever meet. She'd do anything for them. And the father, too. After my mother died, I saw my mother just before she passed away. I flew to New York in the night. And my father was all alone. So I told him, you and Pudgy, your dog, are coming to California. You can stay by Jeannie or stay by me, wherever choice you want. But you're not staying here. So he didn't know half what he was doing. So he went around to the bank and he changed it to California. And things for the dog and this and that. And he was handing me $100. Every time he handed me money, I'd go out and buy him some clothes, you know, for California, and a little suitcase and all that. Finally, I wanted to stay with him. I stayed with him over a month. But Teresa got tonsillitis, and I had to come back for her. So I told my father, I said, look, if I can get on this plane, and I'll petrify the airplanes, then I wouldn't get on the plane if you paid me. You can do it. Because you're going to die in that apartment. You're going to drink beer and eat donuts, and you're going to die. So he goes, I don't know, Peg. Okay. So I kept praying and praying. It was on my birthday. I get a call, and it's my brother. And I was telling my brother I was worried about him because he was all alone. And Jeannie says, wait a minute, I got to put someone on the phone to you. It was my father. And he had a real Irish accent, you know. He goes, I don't know, Peggy. I don't know what the hell happened. I got up this morning to have my little can of beer, and I couldn't swallow it. I couldn't sit in the chair. Someone was pushing me out of the chair. He said, all the suitcases, I had packed all the stuff for him and got his ticket and everything. He goes, but here I am. Well, that's how he survived another 10 years, because he had my brother and his grandkids, and he came by me. And we just gave him a lot of love. But in the middle of this, my teenagers were going a little wild. But I think that's how they find themselves in life. You have to go through the things and face them. Sometimes they're hard, but if you learn from it, you're all right. You know, you got your choice. Be bitter or be better. And that's the story of that. Tony was getting sicker. They kept taking the hips out and his knee out and another hip in. And then his brother Adolf passed away. I didn't know Adolf had put me in his will. He always told me, well, if something happens, don't worry, I'll take care of you, don't worry. But I didn't take it to mind. That was like a saying you say, you know. So he did. He left me money. He left me $65,000, in fact, and his car. So I said, well, I helped Teresa get a house to restore, because she's very good at that, and she did a good job. And I bought a house. I'm so grateful to God I got that house, because it was on an acre of land, and the kids could just run and play and have a good life, you know, my grandkids. And let's see, what else? Oh, Tony, then he got Alzheimer's, beginning of Alzheimer's. He couldn't remember this. It comes on slowly, like. He'd go out and take little trips around the neighborhood to get tea and cookies, and the cops would bring him home. They were always bringing him home. Then what happened, me and Teresa went into a business which was going well until Teresa had her accident. We had to guess it more time in that. And then we had to give that up, of course, which I didn't get any funds coming in. So my house went into foreclosure, so I had to try and sell it fast as I could. So I sold it and made $4,000 profit, which is better than nothing. Then I got a little cutty sack because Tony was getting really bad with his Alzheimer's. So I got this little cutty sack, and he falls, he breaks his leg. He had to be in a hospital bed. So I made the cutty sack look like familiar, like that. He thought he was still in the house. Of calling his mother in Italy. And then, what happened? Then Tony passed away. And then I was shell-shocked. I don't know what you call it. I didn't know which way to go. And nobody was coming to visit me. All I wanted was someone to come visit me. They wouldn't visit me. So I said, well, I prayed. I said, God, my son was going, Lisa, you better get a job. My husband had just died, right? Here I'm 64 years old. I better get a job. So I took it to heart, as stubborn as I am. So I went and I prayed. I had 37 cents in a cup on the table. I said, God, this is what I got on the table. Where am I going to get a job? I'm not an intellectual. I'm just a grandma. The only thing I know is taking care of people, nursing them. So all of a sudden I get a phone call from this friend that I met at Anita's party. She's a nurse, a care nurse or something. And she said, well, if you take care of this horrible old man, he's bedridden and you have to feed him through a tube, by Saturday you have $570. So I said, hey, I'm on the bus tomorrow. Oh yeah, I got a job and with this old man that nobody wanted, this old man, this little German man. The poor man. He was in a bed by the bay window, no one talking to him, he cursed everybody out. He used to call me a prostitute. He said, are you here again? You're the prostitute, aren't you? I said, no, I'm not, Anyway, we made good friends after that. I took care of him for a while. Oh, he had to go in the hospital. He got sick with pneumonia. And this other girl, Shirley, the one I told you about, she wasn't very kind with old people. She didn't have patience. She ignored him or something, and he passed away, this man. He was a sweet old guy. But that was the story of that. Then she got me a job with Elsie. Elsie was a little German lady, half German, half Irish. Same kind of story. She just bitched and bitched. She didn't like anything, unless it was her way. She had to control it. So she gets me, of all people. So her daughter tells me, you get along with her. I said, when she's yelling, I make her tea and a couple of cookies, and she's happy, How would you feel being bedridden? I mean, she walks around a little. She's a person that's used to the business world, and now she's stuck in this little cave. You have to enlighten her, make it better for her. So she loved novels, mystery novels, even if they're real scary. So I asked Shirley, could you get us something where she could hear the book? So they had that in the library. We can hear the whole novel. You just tell them the one you request. And she was in her glory. She was happy. Little things I try to do. So I stayed with her until she got very weak. And she used to tell me she saw her mother standing by her bed. And her mother was supposedly, what I heard, was a very nice, kind person. I said, well, you better pray that you don't go to hell, that you go to heaven and see your mama. So the next morning, I had an intercom in my bedroom in case she called me at night, and I forgot to turn it on. So the morning when I went in there real early, she was petrified. She said that all of a sudden she was in a dark tunnel, and she remembered that I had told her to pray. And she just yelled out, Jesus, as she woke up in the bed, but she was scared. I said, see, I told you now. So she said, you must have been sent here for me, because nobody talks to me. I said, you can't help, that's your personality. You're not hurting my feelings. I know it's your personality. And she loved me. I loved her even though she's a crabby old lady. And that was the story of that. Now let's see what happened after that. I don't think I took care of any. Oh, yes, I did. Oh, yeah, I did. Because they were telling me again, you better work because you have no money. Which was true, So I didn't know what to do. I was in that job that me and Teresa had. And it was slow, so I was looking through the ads and things. And I saw Amy's Villa. So I was praying, oh, maybe they need someone there. But here I was gimping around because my hip was real bad from doing that work with the bandages and all that. I don't know if they would accept me, you know. I could do the work, but I'd be slower. So off I went to Amy's villa, and I told her, I can do it. Just watch. Watch me do it. They gave me a whole house with 5 people in it. 2 little Jewish guys, a couple, a lady that used to be a nurse in UCLA. She's a very nice lady, Joni, and Violet, this real sweet little lady. And this was my house to take care of all these people. My gosh, it was a lot of work. You had to set out the medicine, and I cooked for them. I did just like they were my own grandpa and all that, grandma. And you get to love these old people. They're so sweet. Anyway, I worked there until the Russians bought the place off of. I saw a lot of things that shouldn't have been. It wasn't good. I tried to stop best I could. I did some things. And that was the end of that job. And then I didn't work no more. Then Danielle told me, well, if you help me with Trinity, because nobody will do it, I'll help you. You know, she'll help me if I take care of I said, I'll take care of her anyway. So I got different things from the government. You get SSI, whatever stupid thing they give you. I got that, and that was enough to cover it to watch out for little Trinity. Hey, where do we live but in this apartment that wasn't really good for children to live in? But I watched her, so no harm came to her. Then I moved in with my grandson, JJ, which was spectacular for a while. Him and his girlfriend that he ended up marrying, Eleanor, they got a little house, and I moved out. Danielle was away doing something. So Jerry took Trinity to Sunland, which is a seedy neighborhood. So I just followed them. So Jerry said, are you moving in? Yeah, I'm moving in, because I promised to take care of Trinity. So I have to be here to do it. And then everybody was going, how do you walk to school? You're limping. Oh, my leg used to be in so much pain, but I knew if I said anything, I wouldn't be able to take care of this child. So I just forgot about it. I just so. It's just a little injury. I got hit with a truck 20 years ago. I made up stories. And thank God we came through that, and then I ended up in Haskell again, which was too expensive. It wasn't even nice anymore. It was just money, rent. And then I signed up for this little place that I'm in, which is fine for me and my little dog. And now I'm up to this, whatever. I pray for everybody, Kit, including you, every single night. Not long prayers. Just that God will protect you and keep you safe. And I love all of them. The nicest thing I ever heard was when Cody told me at Eleanor's wedding, I thank you, Grandma. I said, for what? She says, for all of us. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Then I thought back, you never should be ungrateful for what you have in life. When all the blessings are all around you. You just have to open your eyes and see them. Like, where would I be without Teresa aggravating me? That wouldn't keep my adrenaline up. And I loved her the best because she was so, I don't know, it's stubborn. Something in me that's like her that I relate to. And she's very honest. I love Putty, of course, too. Just the same level, but in different ways. Johnny I'll always love because he needs a lot of love. But I don't bug him because he's got his little life and it makes him happy. So I know he loves me. That's all that matters to me. Cody, of course. Danielle, Danielle, the people put her down a lot, but she's a very good kid. She came here in the middle of summer. It was boiling hot, painting my walls so my walls would be clean, ripping up my rug. Now, some people would say this it's horrible having you stand there. Hey, she was doing what she knows to do to make me happy. Nobody else was doing that, kid. She'd walk all the way to the grocery store, the hot boiling sun, with 2 big bags of groceries for me. Little things like that matter. Vincent, of course, calls me, what do you want, Grandma? Anything you want. And even if I want, I don't usually tell him. Because he goes, well, you took care of me when I was little. Yeah, that's what grandmas do. But I just feel love in my heart that they would do it for me. I know no matter what they say or get mad or whatever, if I was in trouble, they'd be the first one there. So when I hear noise, it's just noise, you know. I look beyond that at the people I love. I love all of them, every one of them. Even Jerry when he aggravates me.
Hi.
I do.
Are you thrilled to be here?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
How thrilled are you?
Oh, very, very good.
Who's kissing you? You got girls kissing you.
Yeah.
I'm telling.
We've got evidence on film.
Don't.